Hello, and thank you for joining us on this short webinar where I'm speaking with Martin Cowie and his experience around flexibility. Thank you, Martin, for joining us today.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
And you're very passionate about flexible work. Tell us, why is this so?
Well, yeah, I am passionate about it. I think two core reasons. One, it's absolutely good for employees, but just as important is that it's good for business. I think for a long period, flexible working has been seen as something of an employee perk that they should be grateful for to their business. And sometimes it's been sold very successfully to people to attract people. And it is something that is very, very attractive to people to work for a company that offers flexible working. But what I think is less publicized is the actual positive business outcome from having people work flexibly. I think the other sort of misnomer about flexible working is it means potentially people work less, whereas actually it's the danger is it's potentially the opposite of that people actually work more. The idea is that it's not about the hours. We're all got our contracts. We're all supposed to work certain hours, and quite a few of us put in a few extra anyway, whether we're in the office or working from elsewhere. It's really about how do we work most productively. And there's an interesting video I'll probably show at the talk, actually, at the conference from Justin Freed, the CEO of Basecamp, who talks about where's the workplace to try and get some work done. And there's plenty of studies showing that, that actually within the workplace, with the numerous interruptions you get, can be the least productive place. So it's all about really finding out from people where they work most productively, where they can get the most and the best quality work done. And that can be the office, it can be a cafe, it can be a home. That can vary by individual. And it's just putting the sort of infrastructure and training around flexible working, because it is still relatively new for some companies, to ensure that everyone's clear about how it works most efficiently, and that it continues to work. And I think it's almost fiscally irresponsible for companies not to be introducing flexible working.
Yeah, and many businesses, I think, like you mentioned, are now really aware that this is a key strategy. It's a key strategy around capability and attraction and retention, and more the conversation I'm seeing over the last year or so, it is moving into that space, and that P word that is productivity.
Well, that's right. I think all the sort of misnomers I mentioned about flexible working have been explored, and they've come often from perhaps more traditional, older managers who have this idea in their head that if you can't see somebody, they could be taking the piss and doing their washing and or sitting at home not doing very much at all. I think the sort of certainly in a company such as my own OMD, I think we hire adults, and therefore we trust people to act as adults. And if we certainly don't consider the odd bad apple, of which, since we introduced flexible working, we've had zero come to my desk as a problem, as a reason for not enabling the rest of the company, who we absolutely trust implicitly, to work the way that works best for them. So it really is, and it does take a while for people to get their heads around it. There is, we used a consultant, I must admit, a company called Juggle Strategies, who I very recommend, to help us sort of blow those myths away about flexible working, and certainly to put in place a great structure to ensure it was successful. And we did that, and before we did anything, we actually went to our people and asked them what they want from flexible working. no point in creating a flexible policy on a piece of paper like many HR departments do. Email it out and then expect anything at all to change.
Yeah.
So you need to take it seriously, which is what we did, and go on a journey, and start by finding people to help you if you're not 100% sure on the way to go, to actually involve your people, both in a survey and through interviews, and then create a policy. And strangely enough, obviously, if you ask the people what they want flexibility, they'll give you an awful lot of different answers.
Yeah.
So flexibility, I think, if it's looked up in the dictionary, is people seem to think, well, I'll create a policy on flexibility that will restrict people, which is the opposite of the definition of flexibility, of course. So you need a flexible flexibility policy, which puts trust in people, enables them to work in the way that's most effective for them as an individual. And we put very, very few restrictions on there. We obviously put a few more sort of guidelines for our junior people. We appreciate that people in the first 2-3 years of working life, they're in a learning phase, acute learning phase, and need to be around people and managers. They need to be managed a little bit more closely. So we do encourage those guys to spend more time in the office. And to be honest, we've got quite a young industry here. A lot of those people, they want to be in the office. The irony of a flexible working policy here is it's the third most popular thing or best thing about working at OMD. But actually, in terms of usage, it's a great to have, but people love it. But most people don't even use it. They use it more in an ad hoc way. I've got someone, new washing machine being delivered, all those sort of occasions, which we're pretty relaxed atmosphere here. We'd allow that to happen anyway, but people can actually go and take advantage of that without any guilt feelings or anything like that. And certainly we find that people at least, if not more often, make up any time that they've taken in that sense, with additional hours to make up, but also additional effort because they feel trusted by the company. Therefore, they feel more engaged with the company, and their productivity increases, which inevitably leads to profit. So hence that's a very sensible business reason for introducing flexible working.
That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing, Martin. We look forward to hearing more at the summit. What will you be covering in the presentation?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Can you give us a bit of a snapshot of what you're going to cover in your presentation at the summit?
Yeah, I've probably given away too much already, haven't I? In terms of, I think a little bit about the story of flexible working. I certainly would want to deal with our experience and the success it's been for us. Certainly deal with a few of the myths behind it. And certainly, talk about the benefits and the areas that you do need to put in place. It isn't simply just going, hey, we trust you, do whatever you want. And so the parameters we put about how you work flexibly, and probably I think one of the key elements to it, and I don't think we got this completely right, is educating managers. Because we put them all through training. But there are still one or two who perhaps more traditional in outlook, who don't proactively have conversations with their teams as much as I'd like. So certainly dealing with as much as I can, the keys to the success and some of the pitfalls that we've noticed, and perhaps how people can learn from what I think has been a very successful policy here at OMD.
Wonderful, brilliant. We absolutely love and appreciate your honesty and transparency and sharing all your lessons. So look forward to it. If you want to book it, we'll put a link below. And yeah, we invite you to come along and hear Martin speak. Thank you for your time today.
Pleasure.